You've been training for months, maybe even years. Still feels like nothing clicks. You're showing up, you're drilling the technique, and doing everything the coach says. But deep down, you're still wondering, why doesn't any of this work? Why do I still suck? You don't suck, but your jiu-jitsu might not be yours yet. Most people never build a game that fits their body, their style, or their mindset. They just copy what they see around them and hope that it works, but hope is not a strategy. So you have the 230-pound white belt trying to move like Marcelo Garcia, or the 130-pound blue belt who thinks he's Gordon Ryan. Instead of becoming an original work of art, they just become poor imitations of someone else. So let's talk about how to stop copying and start building a jiu-jitsu game that's truly your own. Welcome to the Alchemy of Struggle, baby. So let's talk about what I like to call the mimic trap. And in the beginning, it's kind of understandable. You have this new white belt coming into jiu-jitsu. So naturally, they just copy everything they see. They copy whatever their coach does. So for the brand new person, we're going to give them a pass. But if you continue doing that beyond 6 or 12 months, it calcifies. And then that's when the doubt sets in. Why can't I do a berimbolo? Dude, because you're 250 pounds. It's not because you're bad at jiu-jitsu. It's that you're focusing on the wrong thing. When we talk about martial art, what is the art part? Art is when you put your own spin on something and you make it your own. But many of us never get to that point because we just continue copying other people. So something that we have to talk about is body type ignorance. The person who I think explains this the best is Jordan Burroughs, multiple gold medal winner in the Olympics for the United States for wrestling. He said, when you look at heavyweight wrestlers, they're actually doing a different sport. That what they're doing is a lot different than what he does. And it makes sense. Because someone who's 250 pounds, 300 pounds, they're going to move a lot differently than someone in Jordan's weight class. So sports like wrestling, they have that level of maturity, that level of coaching. Jiu-jitsu is lacking this. So you have a 220 pound, 240 pound white belt trying to invert and berimbolos and stuff like that. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with these techniques, but you have to ask yourself, is that the right technique for that person's body type? Is that where they should focus their attention? Or what's most common, there's some particular grappler who you admire, regardless of their body type or whether or not they're anything like you. And so you try to imitate their game. And you fail because you just are not able to do what they do the way they can do it. Because they're playing their game. And you're also playing their game. That's not admiration. That's delusion. And it leads to frustration. It leads to stagnation. And eventually, it might just lead to quitting. Take me, for instance. I'm 6'3". I walk around at 220-ish pounds. So guess what my game is? It's a top-heavy pressure game. Can I move fast? Yes. Can I hop around? Yes. But it's not my first move. It is not my preference. And there's also what I call a temperament mismatch. You can't imitate someone else because their temperament is just different. I have a training partner. He's really cerebral, really chilled. Excellent technique. He's not explosive. He kind of like sits back. He looks for openings and he traps you. He's the grappling equivalent of a counterpuncher. When I come at him more aggressive, he catches me and he traps me often. If he tried to play my game, he won't do as well because it does not match his temperament or his body type. And the problem is that what some of us do is that we suppress our own game in order to fit into someone else's. And if you keep doing that, you're never going to experience that flow on the mats. But a lot of coaches, unfortunately, they're like, no, you have to do it this way. But a good coach will be like this. As a white belt, I was practicing this neon belly, very basic neon belly, but there was a slight variation the coach was showing. And so I called him over and I said, this isn't working for me. It's just, I don't know what I'm doing wrong. So he comes over. He's a lot shorter than me. He's like 5, maybe 5'8". So he comes over. He looks down at my training partner. He looks at me, and then he looks at my legs. And then he says, oh, make this little adjustment here. I made that little adjustment, and boom, it worked perfectly. He didn't come over and say, no, you have to do it exactly the way that I showed you. No, I had to make an adjustment based on my body type. Had I not made that adjustment, I'd probably still, to this day, be trying to do it his way. His way works for him. It does not work for me. Blue belt is where the art really starts. Because as a white belt, it's just survival. You have all these different techniques being thrown at you. But by the time you get to blue belt, you should start developing a sense of what works for you. So as a white belt, it's like you're going to a buffet table, right? You're eating everything that you see. By the time you get to blue belt, you're a little more selective. You don't get everything. There's a few things that you like and you pick those up. By the time you get to purple belt, you're not at the buffet table. You're ordering off the menu at a 5-star restaurant. I mean, just imagine Muhammad Ali trying to box like George Foreman or vice versa. It just wouldn't work for obvious reasons. Why is that not so obvious in Jiu-Jitsu? No two arm bars are alike because no two people are alike. It is up to the grappler to take ownership of their development, not only in what they choose to focus on, but also how they choose to focus. For every technique that I'm shown, I always ask myself this question: where in the hierarchy of necessity does this technique fall? These techniques should fall somewhere on the list of top 5 or top 3. If it's somewhere closer to 9, 8, or 10, I'm probably not doing it. Now, if you want to just play around and have a little bit of fun, fine. But if you're developing an effective game, if you want to be an effective martial artist, you have to do what works, and you have to do what works for you. Now the question becomes, well, how do I know what clicks for me? How do I develop this thing that you're talking about? This is where the hard part comes. This is where you have to get on those mats, experiment, and find what actually works for you. And if you have a coach who insists on, no, you have to do it this way, you can just politely say, okay, sure. But then when it comes time to practice, you practice it your way. So that's it. Stop imitating and start creating your own game. Then you'll get unstuck and you will stop feeling like you suck. Quick reminder, this Thursday is the first post for Dojo Off the Mat. Thursday, 8:00 p.m. If you don't know what that is, go back and watch the video on the recovery protocol, and that'll explain exactly what that is. And let me give a quick subscriber shout out to Bob Hafner 5902. What's the common theme that pops up so much in the comments that I decided to make that the first Dojo Off the Mats topic? He didn't get it exactly, but it was really, really close. So the first topic for Dojo Off the Mats is coming back to Jiu-Jitsu after a long layoff. What made you come back and what makes you stay? Now, Bob Hafner was pretty close. He said, fear of injury, ego fear. And this is kind of one of the things that, makes people afraid to come back. They're out of shape. They're afraid they're going to get hurt. So Bob was close enough that Bob gets the shout out. So congrats, Bob. So guys, thanks again for subscribing and for being an amazing community. I get so much out of reading your comments and responding to them. It's one of the highlights of my day, believe it or not. But we need to make sure other people who need to hear this message, that it reaches them. So please, like, share, subscribe. Tell your training partners to come check out the Alchemy of Struggle. Be safe on those mats and keep up the good fight. Peace.